If you don't get better today, nothing gets better tomorrow. Most people are stuck, not because they're lazy, but because they keep waiting for the right mood, waiting to feel ready, waiting for life to slow down. And while they wait, days pass. Progress doesn't happen by waiting. It happens by doing something that makes you better, every single day. This audiobook is made for people who are tired of just surviving the day. It's for people who want to wake up with purpose and go to bed with pride. You'll learn how to stop wasting time, start showing up with real energy, and fix the habits that keep you stuck. Every chapter is a clear, simple step forward. No fluff, no fake hype, just the truth, in your language for your life. Hit play and YouTube will know you're not here to scroll, you're here to grow, one honest day at a time. Chapter 1. Show up today even when you don't feel ready. You want to get better every single day? Then the first thing you have to understand is this: the progress you're looking for doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It doesn't care how you feel this morning. It doesn't ask if you're motivated. It doesn't ask if you're in the mood. Growth begins the second you decide to show up. Not when you feel good, not when everything's easy, but when you decide to step forward. Even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's heavy, even when your mind is dragging you backward. That's what separates the winners from the rest. They don't wait to feel ready. They move anyway. They show up to their commitments. They show up to their workouts. They show up to their plans. And they do it without needing applause, without needing comfort, and without needing every condition to be perfect. You don't get better by thinking about being better. You get better by showing up when it counts. And it always counts most when it's hardest. Most people wait. They wait for clarity, they wait for motivation, they wait for everything to feel aligned. And in the process of waiting, life keeps moving, time keeps passing, opportunities keep fading. You don't need perfect clarity, you need movement. You don't need motivation, you need to get started. That's the hard truth, and until you face it, you'll stay stuck in the same place. Now ask yourself this: how many days have you lost waiting for the right mood? How many goals have you delayed because you didn't feel ready? Think about that and be honest, because that's the starting point of growth. The moment you stop lying to yourself, the moment you realize readiness is not a feeling, it's a decision. That's the turning point. You have to get to a place where your feelings don't control your actions. You wake up tired, but you still show up. You're nervous, but you still take the next step. You're unsure, but you still move forward. That's called being serious. That's called becoming a person who takes ownership. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. There's something powerful that happens when you show up, even when you don't feel ready. You start building confidence, not the fake kind that comes from compliments. I'm talking about the real kind, the kind that comes from doing the hard thing, the kind that comes from keeping your word to yourself. You look in the mirror and you know, I showed up today. I didn't hide. I didn't quit. I didn't run. That's a powerful feeling, and that feeling builds momentum. It builds trust. It builds identity. You don't rise by accident. You rise by choice. And the first choice is to act, right now, today, not later, because there is no perfect later. There's only now. This is where growth happens, not in theory, not in planning, but in doing, in showing up when you don't feel like it, in pushing past the fog and doing what's needed. You want real progress? Then show up when your mind says, stay in bed. Show up when your friends say, take a break. Show up when your body says, you're tired. That's the moment that matters. That's the moment that shapes you. That's the moment that forges real strength. Not just physical strength, mental strength, character. You're not here to live soft. You're not here to float through life. You're here to grow. You're here to lead yourself. You're here to rise. But it doesn't happen by accident. You've got to earn it, and every day you skip showing up, you fall behind, you lose touch with the standard you promised yourself. You become someone who waits, someone who breaks promises, and deep down you know it. But when you show up, even when it's rough, you start rewriting that story. You prove to yourself that you're not fragile, you're not soft, you're not controlled by how you feel. You become someone reliable, someone with drive, someone who is building something with their own two hands. That's what it's all about. And listen, you don't need to move mountains every day. That's not what I'm saying. But you do need to show up. You do need to do one real thing that moves your life forward, even a small step. If it's real, if it's honest, if it's consistent, that will take you farther than any big plan that never gets touched. You just have to stop breaking momentum. Show up, even if it's not perfect, even if it's slow. Just don't stay still. The real battle is always in your mind. That's the battlefield. The voice that says, "You're tired, you can do it later." That voice that tells you it's okay to miss just this one time. You have to fight that voice, because if you don't, that voice becomes your identity. And once that happens, it gets harder to climb out. But here's the good news. Every time you act, that voice loses power. Every time you take a step, even a small one, you get stronger. You don't need to feel like doing it. You just need to do it. And once you do it enough times, it starts becoming who you are. It becomes normal. It becomes your new standard. And when that happens, life changes. It's not luck. It's not timing. It's not motivation. It's repetition. It's habits. It's discipline. And all of that starts with showing up. Show up when it's cold. Show up when it's early. Show up when no one is watching. Show up when your motivation is at zero. That's when it counts. That's when you build your future. You've got to take this seriously, because every day you waste is a day you don't get back, and most people don't lose their life in one big moment. They lose it slowly, by skipping the things that matter. One skipped day turns into 3. One excuse turns into a lifestyle. That's how average is built. Quietly, slowly, without noticing, until one day you wake up and you're nowhere near who you wanted to become. Don't let that happen. You're better than that. You've got something inside you. You just have to act like it. You have to move like it. You have to show up like your life depends on it, because it does. Your job is to become consistent. Not when it's easy, but when it's hard. Not just when it feels good, but when it's uncomfortable. That's how you earn real results. That's how you get better every single day. Stop chasing perfect days. Start building strong days. Stop waiting for signs. Start acting like you mean it. Show up today, even if it's messy, even if it's slow, even if you're tired, even if nobody sees it. Do it anyway, because the person who shows up every day becomes unstoppable, not because they had everything figured out, but because they refused to give up on themselves. And that's who you need to become. Start now, not later. Show up, do the work, do it today, because today is the only day that matters. Chapter 2. Handle what's in front of you without delay. If you want to get better every single day, then you need to stop pushing things off. Stop leaving things for tomorrow that you can handle right now. Because the truth is, What's in front of you is the only thing that matters, not the past, not what might happen next week, not some perfect plan you're still trying to finish in your head. What matters is what's on your plate right now, and how quickly and seriously you deal with it. Every time you ignore what's right in front of you, you send a message to yourself. That message is "this doesn't matter," or "I'll deal with it when I feel like it." The problem is, that mindset doesn't stay small. It spreads. It becomes how you deal with everything. And suddenly, the small things you could have handled easily become bigger. Now you're behind. Now you're overwhelmed, not because life threw something new at you, but because you delayed dealing with what was already yours to handle. When you ignore something simple, like answering an email, cleaning your desk, finishing the workout you started, or having a hard conversation, what happens? You carry it into the next hour, then into the next day, and it weighs on you. You might not feel it clearly, but it's there. It's sitting in your mind, reminding you that you still haven't done it. That mental clutter steals your energy, your focus, your drive, and you don't even realize how much it's draining you. People think putting things off is harmless. It's not. It's a silent form of stress. Because your brain knows. It remembers what you didn't finish, and the longer you avoid it, the more resistance you build around it. Something that could have taken 10 minutes now feels like a mountain. And that's the trap most people live in every day. The key is to train yourself to respond fast. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to act. If there's a task sitting in front of you, take care of it, right now. If there's a decision that needs to be made, stop second-guessing it. Make the best choice you can and move forward. Life doesn't wait for you to feel confident. And results don't come to people who spend all day thinking. They come to people who execute. You've got to be honest with yourself. Are you using thinking as a tool or as an excuse? Are you spending time planning, or are you hiding from action? It's easy to tell yourself you're preparing, but if you're not handling what's right in front of you, that's not preparation. That's delay. You don't need a massive strategy to win your day. You just need to deal with the task that's staring at you. That thing you've been ignoring, handle it. That message you were supposed to respond to, do it now. That workout you promised yourself, get up and start. That deadline you keep skipping, block out an hour and knock it out. Real change doesn't come from what you dream about. It comes from what you finish. You're not lacking time, you're leaking time. And most of the time leaks happen when you ignore the small actions you could have taken right away. You check your phone, you scroll, you pause and do nothing. And while you do that, your goals stay untouched, your progress sits still, and your potential waits silently for you to act like you mean it. You don't need a new opportunity. You need to stop delaying the one you already have. The work in front of you might not be glamorous, it might be uncomfortable, it might feel small, but it matters. Because how you handle the small things shapes how you'll handle everything else. Discipline is built in the moments where you could have delayed, but didn't. The best version of you doesn't put things off. They step up, they show up, they do what's needed, not because it's fun, not because it's easy, but because it's right. You've got to start living with urgency, not panic, urgency. There's a difference. Panic is chaos, urgency is clarity. It's knowing that time is moving. It's knowing that progress only happens when you act. If something is in your way, deal with it. If something is your responsibility, own it. If something is in your way, deal with it. If something is your responsibility, own it. Don't hope someone else will clean it up for you. Don't wait until it's comfortable. because that comfort is never coming. The only comfort that matters is knowing you did your part, and the only way to earn that is by handling what's yours, fast and with focus. You can tell a lot about a person by how quickly they respond to life. Some people avoid, they escape into distractions, they tell themselves not now. Others step in. They see the mess and clean it. They feel the fear and move anyway. They don't wait to feel ready. They build readiness by doing. You have to train your mind to stop negotiating with delay, because once that habit creeps in, it grows fast. And the more you feed it, the more powerless you feel. You'll start thinking you're lazy, but you're not. You're just stuck in a loop of delay, and the only way out is to break it with action. You don't have to feel motivated. You just have to start. Take 5 minutes, focus, handle one thing that's been waiting, and then do another. Build a pattern, build a streak, build pride. Because when you start handling what's in front of you, you start gaining momentum. And momentum is what makes everything easier. Not because life gets lighter, but because you get stronger. You want to win the day? Handle the day, not in your mind, not in your dreams, in your actions, with your time, with your choices. There's power in doing things now. There's power in keeping your life light and your mind clear, and that power comes from refusing to carry things that you could have already dealt with. No one is coming to do it for you. This is your life, your goals, your responsibility. So stop scrolling past your potential. Stop hiding behind distractions. Take control by doing the thing that's right in front of you, even if it's boring, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it takes effort. That's the price of progress. That's how you get better. Not someday, not soon, but today. You don't need more motivation. You need movement. You don't need more knowledge. You need follow-through. You already know what needs to be done. You've just been waiting for a better time, but there is no better time. There's only now. Handle it, clean it, finish it, face it. That's how people who grow think. That's how winners move. That's how you take the next step toward becoming everything you know you can be. You don't rise by accident. You rise when you stop delaying, and the only way to stop delaying is to take control of the moment in front of you and act on it like it matters, because it does. It always has.
Chapter 3. Fix the small mess that keeps slowing you down. If you want to make real progress in your life, you've got to stop ignoring the little messes that are quietly holding you back. The truth is, it's not always the big problems that slow you down. It's the small ones you keep avoiding, the unfinished tasks, the clutter in your room, the unanswered messages, the disorganized plans, the habits you know aren't helping, but you haven't cleaned up yet. These are the quiet weights. You carry them every day, and most of the time you don't even realize how much they're draining you. That mess, the one you've been stepping around, the one you keep telling yourself you'll get to eventually. It's not just a mess, it's a block. It takes your energy. It clutters your focus. It makes you feel stuck. You tell yourself it's small, it doesn't matter, but your brain doesn't forget. Every time you walk past it, you get reminded that something's out of place, that something's not handled, and that feeling adds up. When your life is filled with unfinished things, your mind becomes foggy. You try to focus on your goals, but that weight pulls on you. You sit down to work, but you feel unsettled. You think you're distracted, but really your brain is tired of holding on to all the things you haven't dealt with. One drawer that's a mess can make you avoid an entire task. One decision you keep delaying can stall your entire week. That's the cost of leaving messes behind. Fixing the small mess isn't about being perfect or becoming obsessive. It's about taking your life seriously enough to clear the things that interrupt your flow. Because progress doesn't just come from what you add, it comes from what you remove. You don't need more to do better, you need less friction, and most of that friction is self-created. You made the mess, you left it there, now it's time to clean it up. Look around you, look at your space, look at your calendar, look at your habits. Ask yourself, what small mess have I been allowing to sit here? You already know what it is. It's the thing you keep telling yourself you'll handle later. It's the tab you won't close, the pile you haven't sorted, the call you won't make. These things are not just annoying, they're slowing you down, not physically, mentally, emotionally. And if you're serious about improving every day, you need to take that seriously. When you clean up one small mess, you create room to breathe. You clear space for better thoughts. You stop carrying that invisible pressure. And when your life is lighter, you move faster. You think clearer. You respond better. It's not about being organized for the sake of appearances. It's about getting rid of the nonsense that holds you back when no one's watching. You want to be consistent. Start by removing the obstacles that break your rhythm. You want to feel motivated. Get rid of the distractions that drain you before you even begin. You want to think clearer. Clean the environment that surrounds you. You can't grow in a mess you won't admit. You can't level up in a system that's falling apart. And it all starts with being honest about the little things you've ignored for too long. Most people live in a loop. They avoid one thing, then avoid another, and then they start losing trust in themselves. That's the hidden danger of mess. It doesn't just clutter your space, it clutters your belief. You begin to feel like you're the kind of person who doesn't finish things, and once you believe that, it affects everything you touch. But the good news is this: every mess you fix builds that trust back. Every drawer you organize, every task you close, every file you sort, every problem you resolve, it tells your mind, I follow through, I clean up, I handle what's mine. And that's how you rebuild your confidence. Not by dreaming big, but by handling small. Not by rushing into new plans, but by finishing the ones you already started. You don't need a fresh start. You need a clean system. You need to tighten what's loose. You need to take care of the details that keep tripping you up. And this doesn't require talent. It just requires attention. It requires care. It requires you to stop pretending these things are too small to matter. They matter more than you think. When you're living with mess, your energy gets scattered. You forget things. You miss deadlines. You feel overwhelmed. Not because you have too much on your plate, but because your plate is full of things you never finished. Clear it. Reset it. Make room for what actually moves you forward. Progress isn't always loud. Sometimes it's silent. Sometimes it looks like cleaning your room. Sometimes it looks like making a list of the things you've been avoiding and finally checking them off. Sometimes it looks like fixing what's been off track for weeks. You don't need big moments to grow. You need clean moments, clear moments, finished moments. One of the most powerful habits you can build is follow through. When you say you'll do something, do it. When something feels off, fix it. When something needs your attention, give it. Don't leave things halfway. Don't leave your future self to deal with what you could have closed today. That's how you fall behind without noticing. Not because you're lazy, but because you didn't take the mess seriously. You want your mind to be sharp, then stop feeding it with chaos. You want your actions to be strong, then stop walking around problems you could have solved in 5 minutes. You want to grow daily, then take care of what's in your hands now, no matter how small it feels. This isn't about productivity. It's about power, personal power, The kind of power that comes from knowing you're in control of your world, that your life is not being run by leftover tasks or invisible stress, that you handle things, that you clean up, that you care. Fixing small messes also builds momentum. When you finish something, even something minor, you feel lighter. That lightness creates space, and that space gives you room to focus, create, move, and lead. You don't have to carry the weight of 100 little things anymore. You start breathing better, thinking better. You show up better, and that shows up in everything you do. The small mess you've been ignoring might not seem like much, but every time you walk past it, you're making a choice to delay, a choice to carry a little extra stress, a choice to stay distracted, and over time, those choices define your pace, your peace, your direction. If you want to go faster, clean up. If you want to go deeper, clear the noise. If you want to go higher, stop building on a messy foundation. Clean it first, fix it, finish it, then build. That's how strong growth works, and that's how you start becoming the person you've been trying to be. Don't underestimate the power of fixing what's small, because small things grow. If you fix them early, they stay small. If you ignore them, they grow into stress, into chaos, into reasons why you can't focus. That's not how high performers operate. That's not how self-respecting people live. They clean their life up. They don't let things pile up. They don't wait until it's overwhelming. They stay light. They stay ready. You've got more in you. You've got better in you. But you can't access it if you're buried under mess you refuse to fix. Start simple, one thing at a time. Open the drawer, return the call, clear the inbox, clean your room, fix the system, close the task. Finish what you started, not tomorrow, now. Because every second you wait, the mess gets heavier, and every time you clean it, your path gets clearer. And when your path is clear, there's no limit to where you can go.
Chapter 4. Follow through on the things you said yesterday. If you're serious about growth, if you truly want to get better every single day, then you must follow through on the things you said yesterday. Your words mean nothing without action behind them. It's easy to talk, it's easy to make promises when you're feeling inspired, but what separates people who grow from people who stay the same is this: one group finishes what they said they would, the other just talks about it. It's not about how motivated you felt yesterday. It's not about how clear your vision was when you wrote those goals down. What matters now is whether you meant what you said. That's where self-respect is built. It's built when you keep your word. Not to impress someone else, not for validation, but because you refuse to be the kind of person who says one thing and does another. Every time you break a promise to yourself, it chips away at your belief. You start to doubt yourself. Not because you don't have potential, but because deep down you know you don't follow through. And once that pattern sets in, it's hard to trust your own words. That's when goals start to feel like wishes. That's when your plans feel fake. That's when you stop taking yourself seriously. You have to understand something. If you keep saying things and not doing them, you'll eventually stop believing you can change. It doesn't matter how much potential you have. If your actions keep proving your words wrong, then you're training your mind to see yourself as unreliable. And that's one of the most dangerous places to be, because once you lose trust in yourself, you hesitate, you avoid, you make excuses, you shrink. But there's another side. When you do what you said you would, even the small things, you build something powerful. You build internal proof. You show your brain that you're serious. You become someone you can count on. That kind of identity doesn't need hype. It doesn't need motivation. It just shows up and does what needs to be done.
because that's who you are. Your future depends on what you finish, not what you start. You can write down goals all day. You can plan for months. You can say you want change, success, freedom, strength, but if you don't follow through on yesterday's words, it's all noise. What did you say you'd do? Did you say you'd wake up early? Did you say you'd work out? Did you say you'd finish a task, make a decision, fix a problem? Then you owe it to yourself to do exactly that. Most people underestimate the damage of broken commitments. They think if no one saw them break it, it doesn't matter. But the truth is, you saw it. You remember, and every time you say, "I'll do it tomorrow," when you clearly said today, you weaken your standard. That's how you start lowering the bar without realizing it. Growth starts with responsibility. If you said it, it's yours. Own it. Don't push it. Don't twist the meaning. Don't justify your way out of it. Finish it. Not because it's urgent, not because someone's reminding you, but because it matters to your own self-image. And here's the part people forget. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real. If you said you'd write for an hour, and you only have 30 minutes, then write for 30 minutes with full focus. If you said you'd have that conversation, and you're nervous, have it anyway. Even if it's not smooth. Do what you can, but do it. The habit of showing up matters more than the size of the action. Following through is about proving to yourself that you're not full of empty talk, that when you speak, you move, that your words carry weight. Most people want others to respect them, but don't respect their own word. They want success, but keep skipping the steps they promised themselves. They want confidence, but live in patterns that create doubt. You build confidence by being someone who follows through. You build discipline by finishing the work you planned yesterday. You build momentum by closing what you opened. It's not fancy. It's not complicated. It's just action. Quiet action. Consistent action. Every time you follow through, you get sharper. Your mind becomes clearer. You don't waste energy second-guessing or explaining. You're not constantly reorganizing your priorities. You already know what to do. You already committed to it yesterday. And because of that, you don't need to start fresh every day. You just need to honor your decisions. You don't need more goals. You need more completion. You don't need more ambition. You need more follow-through. You don't need to keep restarting. You need to carry your promises to the finish line. This is how high achievers move. They don't let words sit unfinished. They don't forget what they committed to. They keep their own score. They hold themselves accountable, even in silence. It's not always going to feel exciting. Sometimes the thing you said yesterday will feel heavy today. You'll be tired. You'll want to change plans. That's the test. That's the moment that defines you. Not when it's easy, but when it's hard and you still finish anyway. You don't rise by doing more. You rise by doing what you said you would. That's the structure that keeps you stable. That's the system that keeps your life aligned. You start trusting yourself. You stop hesitating. You stop second-guessing every step. You start leading yourself. People spend so much energy chasing motivation. But the truth is, motivation is nothing without discipline, and discipline lives in follow-through. If you're not finishing what you start, then motivation is just noise, empty inspiration with no results. Start with something simple. Look back at what you said yesterday. What did you promise? What did you write down? What did you say out loud? Now ask yourself, did you do it? If not, don't make excuses. Don't feel guilty. Just go handle it. Right now, prove to yourself that your word matters, that you're not going to carry this into another day. There is no perfect time. There is only what you do next. That's the power you have. You can rebuild your integrity one task at a time. You can regain confidence with one act of follow-through. It doesn't matter how long you've been avoiding something. It can stop now. It can shift today. The people who grow fast aren't the ones with the biggest ideas. They're the ones who do what they say. They treat their word like a contract. Not just with others, with themselves. And that's a level of seriousness that most never reach. But if you do, if you commit to finishing what you start, you'll separate yourself from the crowd fast. Because the world is full of people who talk. What's rare is the person who follows through. Be that person. Be the one who doesn't need to repeat themselves. Be the one who moves without being pushed. Be the one who others can trust, because you've already proven you can trust yourself. This is how you rise, not someday, not eventually, but daily. One follow-through at a time, one choice at a time, one task at a time. And the more you follow through, the more you become unstoppable. Not because of talent, not because of luck, but because you refuse to let your own words become meaningless.
Chapter 5. Give full effort instead of just going through motions. If you want to truly improve your life, stop doing things halfway. Stop showing up to your goals with low energy. Stop pretending that motion is the same as progress. It's not. There's a big difference between showing up and giving everything you have. A big difference between just doing it and doing it with real effort. If you're going to do something, do it like it matters. Do it like your future depends on it. Because it does. Every single day, people waste hours just going through the motions. They check boxes, but nothing changes. They show up to work, but they're not fully present. They say they're working on their goals, but they're barely scratching the surface. They're physically there, but mentally they're not. Their actions lack focus. Their time lacks intensity. And that's exactly why they stay stuck. Not because they don't know what to do, but because they don't put their full energy into doing it. If you're tired of staying where you are, the solution isn't always more time or more strategy. It's more effort. Real, focused, intentional effort. The kind that drains you in a good way. The kind that leaves you knowing you gave your best. That's what creates change. Not half-hearted routines. Not autopilot behavior. You want results. You need to give more than you feel like giving. You need to push beyond comfort. You need to stop settling for average when you're capable of better. You can go to the gym every day and never grow if all you do is go through the motions. You can sit at your desk for 10 hours and not move forward if your mind isn't engaged. Just being there doesn't mean you're improving. It's not about time, it's about energy. And when you stop giving your energy to the moment you're in, you start wasting your life in ways that look productive from the outside but feel empty on the inside. You've got to stop accepting effort that's below your standard. Ask yourself honestly, when's the last time you gave full effort to something? Not rushed, not distracted, not convenient effort. I mean real effort. The kind where you feel proud afterward, where you knew you could have cut corners, but you didn't. That feeling, that's where growth lives. That's where confidence is built. You want to stop doubting yourself, then show yourself what you're capable of. Show yourself that when you lock in, when you bring everything you've got to the table, you can move mountains. That you can actually be proud of your day. That you can look at your results and say, I earned this. Because you can't fake that. You can't fake real effort. You can't fake excellence. You either gave it or you didn't. The reason most people don't grow isn't because they're lazy. It's because they stop trying the moment they feel resistance. They do enough to get by, but not enough to get ahead. They complete the task, but without care, without attention,
without any real push, and that kind of habit, doing things at half capacity, becomes their identity. They forget what it feels like to really go all in, and when you live like that for too long, you lose your edge. You become soft, you start making excuses, you settle for just finishing instead of finishing strong. But life doesn't reward people who settle. It rewards people who show up with fire, with intent, with full engagement. If you want to separate yourself in your career, in your health, in your relationships, then give more, not in words, in effort. And I don't mean effort that burns you out. I mean effort that wakes you up. Effort that pulls the best out of you. Effort that reminds you what you're capable of when you stop holding back. You've got energy inside you. You've got strength you haven't tapped into yet, but you'll never access it if you keep coasting through your day. The breakthrough you're waiting for doesn't come from doing more things. It comes from doing the things you're already doing with more focus, with more heart, with more discipline. Whatever task is in front of you, treat it like it matters, because it does. You never know where one act of full effort can lead. One great workout can shift your mindset. One focused hour of work can open a new opportunity. One deep conversation can change the direction of a relationship. But you'll miss it all if you keep showing up like you don't care. If you keep treating your day like something to get through instead of something to build with. You can't build a strong life on weak effort. You can't create something powerful with half your attention, and you'll never feel fulfilled until you stop playing it safe and start giving what you actually have to give. It's easy to hide behind routine, to say I showed up, as if that's the end of the job. But you know when you're holding back. You know when you could have pushed harder, when you could have been sharper, when you could have stayed focused a little longer. You don't need anyone to tell you that. Your gut knows, and that voice inside, the one that tells you you're capable of more, it's not lying. Start giving full effort, and watch how fast things change. Watch how your self-respect rises. Watch how your results shift. Watch how people begin to respond differently, not because you told them what you're doing, but because they can feel it. Real effort is loud. It shows up in how you carry yourself. It shows up in the quality of your work. It shows up in the way you finish things. Not sloppy, but strong. And when you start living like this, you raise your own standard. You stop accepting low quality. You stop being okay with halfway. And that shift, that inner shift, it becomes permanent. Because now you know what it feels like to operate at your best. Now you know what it means to put your name on something and feel proud of it. That's what this is really about. Not about perfection, not about grinding yourself into the ground, but about looking at the life you're building and knowing it's real, knowing it's earned, knowing that even on the days where things don't go your way, you didn't cheat yourself. You showed up, you gave it, you owned it. Stop saving your best for later. Stop waiting for the right project, the right time, the right environment to give your full attention. Give it now, in this moment, to whatever is in front of you, because every task is a chance to practice being great. Every moment is an opportunity to sharpen yourself. And if you keep doing that, day after day, you'll wake up one day and realize you've become someone powerful. Not because you chased perfection, but because you gave full effort, consistently, without needing a reason. And you'll realize this truth. Success is not about who has the most talent. It's about who brings the most focus, who brings the most discipline, who brings the most effort. Even when no one's watching, even when no one's clapping, even when it's just you alone doing what needs to be done. So from now on, stop going through the motion. Stop wasting time doing things with low energy. If it's worth doing, then give it everything. If it matters, then act like it matters. That's how you create change. That's how you get better every single day. One focused, full effort action at a time. Chapter 6. Challenge your excuses before they steal your whole day. Excuses are the first sign that you're about to waste your day. The second you hear that voice in your head trying to convince you to delay, avoid or shrink, you're standing at a fork in the road, and the path you choose in that moment says everything about how serious you are about your life. Excuses don't scream at you, they whisper. They sound like good reasons, they sound like rest, they sound like logic, but if you don't challenge them immediately, they take your whole day from you without a fight. That's how most people lose momentum, not in one big collapse. They lose it slowly, one excuse at a time. One skipped task, one delayed decision, one ignored responsibility. And it always starts the same way. I'll do it later. Or, I don't feel like it right now. Or, it's not a big deal if I skip this once. That's the trap. The moment you accept those thoughts without challenge, you start handing over control. You can't afford to let that voice go unchecked. The longer it talks, the more it convinces you that you're tired when you're not, that you're confused when you actually know what to do, that you need rest when you've barely moved. That's not your real voice. That's the weaker version of you trying to win. And if you don't challenge it, it wins. Not because it's stronger, but because you didn't speak up. You must train yourself to spot excuses the second they appear. Catch them before they grow legs. The first excuse that pops into your mind is your chance to choose strength or comfort. That's it. And most people don't even realize how often they surrender to the first excuse. They don't question it. They believe it without hesitation. That's how you lose a week. That's how you waste a month. That's how you stay the same year after year. But if you can challenge it, if you can pause for even 1 second and ask, is this actually true, or am I just avoiding the work? You give yourself power. You take the control back. You remind yourself that you're not here to be soft with your own progress. You're here to win, and winning doesn't happen when you let every excuse run your day. Excuses will always feel justified in the moment. They will always sound safe. They'll always give you a way out. But the cost of accepting them is your own progress. That cost doesn't show up right away, which is why it's dangerous. You think you're just relaxing today, but really, you're feeding the pattern of avoidance, and that pattern has a long-term price. You don't rise by avoiding the hard moment. You rise by stepping through them. And the hardest moment, more often than not, is the one where you decide to do what you said you would, even when your mind gives you 10 reasons to delay. That's the real battle. It's not with the world. It's not with your schedule. It's not even with the task itself. It's with your own voice. The one that's either pushing you forward or pulling you away. Every day, you wake up with 2 paths. The first one is the path of action. The second one is the path of excuse. The one you choose decides your mood, your energy, your momentum. You don't need a miracle to change your life. You just need to stop listening to lies you tell yourself when things get uncomfortable. That's where the shift begins. Your excuses come from one place, the part of you that's afraid. Afraid of failure, of judgment, of discomfort. And fear is clever. It doesn't just say, don't do this. It says, you're not ready. Or, you've done enough today. Or, it won't work anyway. And it hides behind those fake layers of logic. That's what makes it so dangerous. It sounds helpful, but it's not. It's there to protect your comfort, not your growth. You've got to be ruthless with that voice. Not kind, not curious, ruthless. Because if you entertain it, it will take over. That's how you go from high standards to barely hanging on. That's how goals that once mattered become things you no longer even talk about. Because excuses don't just slow you down. They convince you that staying stuck is normal. But nothing good comes from that. Nothing great is built on hesitation. Your best work, Your strongest days, your proudest moments, they all came when you pushed through the noise and did the thing anyway. You didn't wait until it felt perfect. You didn't believe every thought that told you to slow down. You acted. You challenged your own delay. And that's what you need to do, again and again, every single day. You don't eliminate excuses by wishing them away. You do it by building a habit of calling them out. You say to yourself, this thought isn't helping. This is the same line I've heard before, I'm not falling for it again. And then you move. You take the first step. You shut it down by acting. That's the cure. Action kills excuses, not debate, not journaling. Action. Every time you act in the face of an excuse, you get stronger, you get faster, you stop giving those thoughts power. You don't need to analyze them. You don't need to fix your entire mindset in one day. You just need to stop agreeing with every soft thought your mind throws at you. When it says, not now, respond with now is exactly the time. When it says, you're not feeling it, say I'll do it anyway. That shift, that fire, that's what changes everything. You're not lazy. You're not unmotivated. You're just losing the argument in your head. And you can change that. Right now, you can choose to stop believing everything you think. You can build a system where you check your thoughts before they run your actions. That's how discipline is created. That's how self-respect is restored. You want to feel better. Do what you're avoiding. You want to build real confidence. Stop making excuses and start making progress. Nothing builds belief like doing what you didn't feel like doing. That's how you grow. That's how you earn your next level. Every day, challenge the story that says you can't. Challenge the idea that rest is more important than progress. Challenge the comfort that keeps you trapped. Not once. Not when it's convenient. Every time. Especially when it's hard. Especially when you're tired. Especially when no one else is watching. Because those moments when you almost gave in but didn't, that's where strength is built. That's where your future is shaped. That's where you separate yourself, not in big wins, not in huge results, in small decisions, in inner arguments, in choosing action over delay. Excuses will always be there. You can't get rid of them completely, but you can stop feeding them. You can build a different default, one where you catch yourself, call it out, and act anyway. And the more you do that, the more natural it becomes. Until one day, your first response to resistance isn't escape, it's action. That's the shift. That's the turning point. When you stop losing hours to delay. When you stop negotiating with your potential. When you stop allowing yourself to be pulled away from what you said you would do. That's what getting better every day looks like. Not perfection, not motivation, just honesty, discipline, and the courage to do what's right, no matter what excuse shows up. Chapter 7. Say what needs to be said without overthinking. Most people hold back not because they don't know what to say, but because they overthink it. They play every possible reaction in their mind. They rehearse all the wrong outcomes before the conversation even starts. And as a result, they stay quiet. They keep their thoughts bottled up. They carry tension in their chest, frustration in their head, and regret in their heart, all because they didn't say what needed to be said. The longer you hold things in, the heavier they get. Unspoken truth doesn't disappear. It lingers. It builds pressure. It distorts your thinking, it affects how you show up, and it leaks into everything, your mood, your focus, your relationships, your energy. What you're afraid to say becomes the very thing that starts holding you back the most. Saying what needs to be said isn't about being aggressive, it's about being real. It's about being honest with yourself and others. It's about refusing to live in discomfort, just because you fear a moment of discomfort. One uncomfortable sentence spoken out loud is better than carrying weeks of anxiety and second-guessing. You don't grow by staying silent. You grow by expressing clearly, calmly, and with respect, even when it's not easy. Overthinking steals your timing. It convinces you that now is not the right moment. It tells you to wait until you feel more confident. It creates fake stories about what might go wrong, and in doing that, it blocks your progress. The opportunity to speak comes and goes, and you're still stuck in your head, waiting for a green light that never shows up. The right time to say something isn't when you feel 100% certain. It's when you know the message matters. If you've been thinking about it for days, if you've felt the tension building, if you've played the moment over and over, that's your sign. You're not confused. You're just scared. And you've got to stop giving fear permission to speak for you. You've been through moments where staying silent only made things worse. You felt the cost of holding back, the frustration, the miscommunication, the resentment. You've seen how quickly small issues turn into big ones when you avoid being honest. So why keep repeating that cycle? Why keep carrying the weight of unspoken words when you know they're only going to hold you down? Speak your truth. Don't wait for the perfect words. Don't try to write the perfect script in your head. Speak with clarity, with honesty, with simplicity. Say it with care, but say it straight. The people around you can't read your mind. They don't know what you need unless you say it. They don't know how you feel unless you express it. And no, it's not about making a scene or demanding attention. It's about choosing to communicate rather than hide. When you speak clearly, you build trust, not just with others, but with yourself. You stop being afraid of your own voice. You stop shrinking when it's time to stand tall. You stop depending on people to figure things out for you. You lead the conversation. You lead your emotion. You lead your life. You want to build confidence. Practice saying what needs to be said. Do it when your voice shakes. Do it when your hands are cold. Do it when it feels easier to avoid it. Because once you say it, even once, you realize that fear had no power. It only seemed big because you fed it with delay. You don't need to be loud. You don't need to be forceful. You need to be clear, straightforward, direct. There's nothing wrong with speaking your needs. There's nothing weak about expressing where you stand. You're not a burden for saying how you feel. You're being responsible. You're taking ownership of your role in the relationship, the job, the environment. And what if the other person doesn't take it well? That's not your job. Your job is to express, not to control the outcome. People are allowed to feel what they feel, but that doesn't mean you should stay silent just to keep the peace. Because if you're not at peace, then there is no peace. It's just quiet frustration, pretending to be calm, and that's no way to live. Speak even when it's hard. Speak even if you're not sure how it will land. You'll figure it out along the way. The more you practice expressing what's true, the more skilled you become. You'll learn how to say things with respect. You'll learn how to stay grounded in tense moments. But you can't develop that skill if you keep avoiding the conversation. Real growth comes from repetition, from choosing courage when you could have stayed small. It's not just about big conversations either. It's the small ones. The moments when you need to speak up in a meeting. The moments when you need to set a boundary with someone close to you. The times you need to say no when you've been saying yes out of guilt. Those are the moments that define your strength. That's where personal power is built. People who stay quiet all the time don't avoid problems. They multiply them because they wait. They wait until it's too late. They wait until the problem explodes. They wait until they're fed up. And then the message comes out with frustration, not clarity. But people who speak early, who address things before they build up. They live lighter. They deal with issues while they're still small. They lead with intention, not emotion. You don't need more time to think. You need more action. You've already thought enough. You've already played out every version of what might go wrong. You've already imagined the worst case. And yet, you're still carrying the same tension. That tells you everything. The way forward is not in more thinking. It's in stepping up and finally saying what needs to be said. If something matters to you, speak on it. If something feels wrong, address it. If something is hurting you, name it. If something feels unclear, ask about it. That's what maturity looks like. That's what growth demands. You can't be passive and powerful at the same time. You have to choose. And yes, there will be moments when you say the wrong thing, when you wish you had phrased it better. That's okay. That's how you learn. But silence doesn't teach you anything. It just keeps you stuck. It keeps you small. And you're not here to live small. You're here to move, to rise, to evolve. And communication is a key part of that. You'll never regret speaking with honesty. You might regret how you said it. You might wish you had more tact. But you'll never regret standing in truth. Because even if the outcome isn't perfect, you know you showed up. You gave your voice a chance. And that's where self-respect comes from. Not from being perfect. From being real. Don't let overthinking silence you. Don't let imaginary fears stop you from expressing something that needs to be out in the open. You deserve to be heard. And the world deserves the clarity that only your voice can bring. Speak now. Not when it's safe, but when it's needed. And remember, the people who respect you will appreciate your honesty. The people who care about you will value your courage. And the people who don't, they were never going to understand you anyway. So speak for your own peace. Speak to stay aligned with yourself. The longer you wait, the harder it gets. The more you rehearse, the more you hesitate. So stop overthinking. Start expressing. Say what needs to be said. And let that be your way forward. Every day, every time, without apology, without because your voice isn't just a sound. It's a signal that you are awake, aware and fully present in your life. And that alone can change everything.
Chapter 8. Do something right now instead of planning forever. You don't need another plan. You don't need another week to prepare. You don't need more notebooks, more strategies, more outlines. What you need is to act. Right now. Not later today, not tomorrow morning. Right now. Because the more you sit there thinking about what you should do, the more energy you waste doing absolutely nothing. You're not stuck because you lack ideas. You're stuck because you've convinced yourself that thinking is progress. But the truth is, thinking alone is not moving you forward. Doing is. How many times have you said you're almost ready? How many times have you convinced yourself that a little more time to figure things out will help? Look around. Look at the plans you've already made. Look at the goals you've already written. You don't need more clarity. You need movement. You've already done enough thinking to fill a library. But you've got to stop hiding behind preparation. You're using it as a shield. A comfortable one. Because, as long as you're still getting ready, you never have to face the results. You never have to test yourself. It feels safe to keep preparing. That's why people stay in that mode for years. Because planning feels like progress. It gives you the illusion of control. You tell yourself that once you know exactly how it'll play out, then you'll start. But deep down, you know that's not true. You're not afraid of failing the task. You're afraid of starting. You're afraid of what might happen once you actually try. And as long as you stay in your head, you never have to face the truth about what happens when you do.
But nothing great is built from overthinking. Every breakthrough in your life will come from action. The first uncomfortable step, the first move, the first attempt, even when you don't have all the answers. That's where the momentum comes from. Not from the perfect plan, but from the decision to move before you feel completely ready. Because you won't feel ready. You keep waiting for that feeling, but it never really shows up the way you want it to. The feeling you're waiting for only comes after you've started, not before. You don't need more research. You don't need to read one more article. You need to get in the game. The details you're trying to solve in your mind can only be solved through real action. The questions you're stuck on will only make sense when you begin. Movement teaches you faster than any theory. You'll never know what works until you test it with real action. Right now, not eventually. That thing you've been thinking about all week. Do it. That call you keep saying you'll make it. That goal you keep rearranging. Start it. Stop moving your goals to next week's calendar like that's some kind of solution. It's not. It's avoidance. And every time you push it, you make it feel bigger than it actually is. The weight of what you delay always grows heavier. But the moment you act, it gets lighter, always. Action isn't about perfection. It's about power. The power to stop wasting your own time. The power to stop making excuses that sound smart but keep you stuck. I'm still figuring it out is not a reason, it's a delay. I just want it to be right is not a goal. It's a stall. You don't get points for planning. You get results from execution. And most of the time, your first step doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be real. You already know what you want to do. You've already thought it through 100 times. Now is the moment to do something. Send the message. Open the file. Go to the gym. Start the first page. Make the list and take the first action. Doesn't matter if it's small. It matters that it's done. Because that's the only way to build momentum. That's the only way to wake up tomorrow proud instead of frustrated. Too many people are trapped in a loop of potential. They've got good ideas, good hearts, and good goals. But no action. No courage to step in and mess up. They're waiting for everything to line up perfectly, and they never realize that perfection isn't coming. It's not supposed to. The path reveals itself as you move forward, not while you stand still trying to predict every step. You've got to stop overcomplicating the process. Your brain wants to create complex systems. It wants to play out 10 scenarios before you begin. But life isn't lived in scenarios. It's lived in action. In moments where you move, you adjust. That's the only way you figure it out. There is no shortcut. There is no version where you think so well that you don't have to take a risk. That's not how growth works. Right now, you have everything you need to take the first step. Not the final step. Not the whole journey. Just the first one. And you've been putting it off, telling yourself you're building up to it. But really, you're delaying. And every day you delay, you reinforce the habit of not moving. That habit will eat your goals from the inside out. It will ruin your confidence. It will teach your mind that hesitation is safer than execution. And once you believe that, it becomes your normal. But you can break that right now. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel inspired. Now, do something. Anything. Take one step toward the thing you keep saying you want. No one else is going to give you permission. No one's going to knock on your door and say, okay, it's finally time. That moment doesn't come. You have to make it. You have to be the one who stops the loop, who puts the phone down, who shuts the doubts off, who moves anyway. And yes, Your first action might not be perfect. You might stumble. You might get it wrong. But at least now you're in motion. At least now you're not stuck in your head playing fake progress. That's real growth. Not the neat kind. The messy kind. The kind that takes guts. That demands you stop planning forever and just begin. You've already wasted enough time waiting. You've already missed too many chances by hesitating. That pattern doesn't fix itself. You have to interrupt it. You have to replace it, and the only way to do that is to act. Now, before you overthink. Before you find another reason to stay still. Before the day ends, and you're left with the same regret again. What can you do right now that proves you're serious? That you're done waiting? That you're done thinking about? Thinking. Find that one thing. And do it. Doesn't matter if it's big. It matters that it's done. That's how you start rebuilding your drive. That's how you stop wasting days that could have been full of progress. That's how you finally get better. Not just in theory, but in real time. Don't let another day slip past you because you were busy preparing. There's a time for thinking. There's a time for strategy. But there's also a time to move. And for you, that time is now. You don't need to be more ready. You just need to be more honest. You're not lost. You're just delaying. And it's time to break that cycle. Do something now. Something real. Something that changes your pattern. That's how better days begin. Not through perfect timing, but through imperfect action. Do it now, then do it again tomorrow. And again the next day. And keep moving until motion becomes your new default. Because once that happens, there's no limit to how far you can go.
Chapter 9. Respect your time like your future depends on it. Your time is not just about minutes or hours. It's your life in motion. Every second you spend is gone for good, and how you use it decides everything about where you end up. If you're serious about getting better every single day, you have to start respecting your time like your future depends on it, because it does. Your future is built 1 hour at a time, one decision at a time, one focused moment at a time, and most people never stop to ask themselves if the way they're spending their time actually lines up with the life they say they want. You can't keep acting like you have forever. You don't. You don't have unlimited chances. You don't have extra time hiding somewhere that will show up later. What you have is now. What you have is today. That's the window. And the person who understands that, not just in theory but deep in their choices, they're the one who grows. They're the one who builds something meaningful. Because they don't waste what can never be replaced. You have to treat your time with urgency. Not panic. Urgency. That clear understanding that what you do with this hour, this day, this week, it stacks up, it compounds, it turns into momentum or regret, and you decide which one. You decide every time you choose what to do with the next 10 minutes. Are you using it to build something, or are you using it to drift? Your phone is not neutral. Social media is not harmless. Conversations that lead nowhere aren't small things. These are choices, repeated choices, and the cost of those choices is your future. That's not extreme, that's real. Every time you say, it's just 5 minutes, those 5 minutes stack up. That habit stacks up. And after a while your life becomes a pattern of scattered time, wasted attention, and constant catch-up. You feel busy, but you're not building. You feel tired, but you're not growing. Time is the one thing you don't get back. You can earn more money. You can rebuild your body. You can fix a lot of things, but time, once it's gone, stays gone. That's why people who get serious about their life also get serious about their time. They protect it.
They manage it. They cut out things that don't serve the person they're becoming. You don't need to fill every second with hustle. This isn't about becoming a machine. This is about being aware, being intentional, knowing the difference between rest and distraction, knowing when to recharge and when you're just escaping responsibility. Because there's a big difference between rest and avoidance. One rebuilds you, the other keeps you stuck. When you respect your time, you stop giving it to people who don't respect your energy. You stop saying yes just to avoid guilt. You stop checking your phone every few minutes for no reason. You start showing up to each day with a plan, not just a list. You start placing value on your own calendar instead of letting everyone else fill it up for you. Look at how you spend your day, not how you say you spend it, how you actually spend it. Is your time being used in a way that moves you forward, or are you caught in loops? Loops of distraction, loops of delay, loops of filling time so you don't have to face what really needs to be done. Be honest about that. Because if you don't face it now, it only gets worse later. When you start respecting your time, you start gaining control, not just of your schedule, of your mind. You stop feeling overwhelmed because you're no longer scattered. You stop rushing because you're no longer behind. You stop wasting energy on things that don't matter. That's the benefit of structure, not rigidity, clarity. You know what matters, so you focus. You know what doesn't, so you cut it out. This level of clarity doesn't come from wishing, it comes from deciding. You decide to be the kind of person who values time. You decide to protect it like it's part of your future, because it is. You decide to stop giving your time away to things that won't matter in 5 days, let alone 5 years. And once you make that decision, you start making better choices. You don't have to be perfect with time. You just have to be honest. If something's wasting your time, call it what it is. If someone's draining your attention, create distance. If your habits are eating your day, change them. Stop waiting for the schedule to fix itself. It won't. You fix it. You take ownership. You build a life where your time is used for something that actually matters. Your future self will thank you for every minute you respected today, for every hour you used wisely, for every block of time you spent building instead of scrolling. You can't see the full result now, but that's the nature of growth. You show up before the reward. You make the investment before the payoff. And time is the currency. Every decision to respect your time is a step toward your best self. Every block of focused effort is a building block for the life you're trying to create, and it doesn't take big leaps. It just takes daily seriousness. A level of seriousness where you stop treating time like it's casual, where you don't let boredom lead the day, where you create, you build, you learn, you move. Some people spend their entire life thinking about getting serious. They say they're going to fix their habits next month. They say they're going to stop wasting time when things calm down. They say they'll focus more when they get older. And by the time they look up, years have passed, time has moved, and all they have are plans they never acted on. Don't let that be your story. Your time is your power, and it's not measured in how much you do. It's measured in how much you value what you do. It's measured in your ability to use your time like it matters. Not just when it's convenient, not just when everything lines up. Every single day. Respect your time by being where you said you would be. Respect it by starting the task instead of scrolling through another video. Respect it by ending conversations that waste it. Respect it by giving your best to the block of time you have, no matter how small it is, because a focused 30 minutes is worth more than 3 distracted hours. You don't have to rush. You don't have to sprint through life. But you do have to stop living like you can do it later. Later is not guaranteed. Later is not the plan. Now is the plan, and the more seriously you treat your time today, the more freedom you'll create for yourself tomorrow. Freedom doesn't come from escaping responsibility. It comes from mastering it, from using your time so well that your results begin to multiply, that your work begins to compound, that your days start producing real value. That's the kind of life you build when you take time seriously, and that kind of life always starts now. No one's going to tell you to respect your time. Most people won't notice how you waste it. Most people waste their own. So don't expect reminders. Don't wait for warnings. Be the one who notices early. Be the one who builds discipline before regret arrives. Be the one who says, I'm going to use this time well, not someday, today. That decision, made again and again, becomes your future. Not some big moment, not some overnight success, just hour after hour of showing up, of using time like it's gold. Because it is. And you either spend it building the life you want, or you let it slip into things that give you nothing back. So today, treat your time like the serious asset it is. Guard it, use it, don't wait, don't drift. Give it to things that build you, not break you. And you'll look back one day, with pride, not just at what you built, but at how wisely you chose to use what everyone else took for granted.
Chapter 10. Close your day knowing you gave real effort. When the day ends and everything quiets down, you're left with one question. Did you really give your best, or did you just pass time? That answer doesn't lie. It sits with you. It shows up in how you feel when your head hits the pillow. It shows up in your body, in your thoughts, in your sense of pride or your lack of it. That's where the truth lives. You can tell yourself a story all day long, but when the day is over, you either know you gave it everything, or you know you didn't. And that feeling can't be faked. You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to be honest. There's no peace in a day where you gave half your energy. There's no pride in a day where you coasted. That quiet frustration you feel sometimes, it's not about your results, it's about your effort. You know when you didn't really show up. You know when you let yourself off the hook. You know when you could have done more, but chose comfort instead. That's why how you end your day matters. It's not just about what you finished, it's about how you showed up. Did you do things with care? Did you do them with intention? Did you follow through when it counted? Or did you just check boxes, drag yourself through the hours, and call it a day? That distinction changes everything, because a day filled with real effort builds strength. It builds trust. It builds momentum. A day where you just got by builds nothing. You can feel the difference between a day where you pushed yourself and a day where you avoided everything hard. You don't need anyone else to tell you. Your body knows. Your conscience knows. You either feel proud or you feel off. And if you go too many days without that sense of effort, that sense of real progress, you begin to disconnect from your goals. You begin to lose belief. Not because you aren't capable, but because you've stopped proving it to yourself. Every day is an opportunity, not to be productive in some artificial way, but to give what you actually have, to show up with energy and do the things that move your life forward, to care about your own standard, to raise the bar on what you expect from yourself, not for perfection, but for growth. You don't have to do everything, but what you do, do it like it matters. That's what makes the difference. People think the reward is in results, but the reward is in knowing you gave all you could give, that you didn't cheat yourself, that you didn't hold back, that you didn't let fear or laziness decide how you used your time. That's the win.
That's what builds confidence. That's what puts you to sleep at night with a clear head and a strong heart. You want to stop doubting yourself, then start showing up fully. Not halfway, not only when it's convenient. Show up with energy, with focus, with the kind of drive that makes you proud to call it a day. Because every single time you do that, you start to believe in yourself again. You start to feel strong, not because everything's perfect, but because you know you're giving your best, and that's what matters most. You can't keep ending your day with regret and expect to feel confident. You can't keep letting tasks pile up and expect to feel clear. You can't keep giving a low level of energy and expect high-level results. That gap creates frustration. That gap makes you restless. That gap grows bigger the longer you ignore it. And the only way to close it is to start finishing each day with a level of effort you're proud of. This doesn't mean draining yourself. It means being focused when it's time to work. It means being engaged when it's time to show up. It means stopping the habit of dragging yourself through your day and calling that effort, because you know the difference between presence and distraction, between discipline and drifting, between doing enough and doing what's right. You know, so stop lying to yourself with soft effort. Stop pretending that going through the motions is enough. It's not. Not for someone who wants to grow, not for someone who's aiming to build something real. You owe yourself more than that, not because the world is watching, but because you are, and you can't outrun that. A strong day doesn't mean everything went right. A strong day means you kept showing up even when it didn't. It means you stayed consistent even when you didn't feel like it. It means you didn't let distractions take over. You didn't make excuses. You didn't trade the life you want for temporary comfort. That's what makes a day count. And when you get into the habit of closing your day with that kind of integrity, your life changes. You begin to stack wins. Small ones. Quiet ones. But they build. And they matter. They build the foundation for every big change you want. Every goal you're chasing. Every version of yourself that you're trying to become. It all begins with how you spend today. Don't wait for motivation to show up before you give full effort. Motivation follows action. It doesn't lead it. You don't become inspired by doing nothing. You become inspired by showing up, even when it's hard, by taking action, even when your mood is low, by doing what you said you would do even when no one's checking. That's where the shift begins. That's how you earn real progress. You want to feel better. Give more. You want more clarity. Show up stronger. You want momentum. Create it with effort, not thoughts. The truth is, most people don't need more time. They need more honesty. They need to look at how they're spending their day and ask, is this who I want to be? Not in the future, because the way you use today is the biggest sign of who you're becoming. Don't go to sleep hoping things will magically improve. Go to sleep knowing you gave what you had, that you didn't back down, that you didn't waste another day thinking about getting better. You actually took a step. You actually moved forward. You actually lived up to the standard you set for yourself. That feeling, that peace, that's worth more than any fake comfort you get from avoiding the work. You've had enough days where you let it slide, where you coasted, where you postponed the hard stuff, where you said, tomorrow. And you know where that led. You know how that felt. So stop repeating it. Break the pattern. Close your day right. Give it what it deserves. Not just in action, but in focus, in presence, in care. Your effort is your signature. It tells the truth about what you value. It tells the truth about how serious you are. It tells the truth about whether or not you respect yourself enough to follow through. So give yourself that respect. Not in words, in action, in how you handle the hours you're given. It's not about being the best. It's about being real. It's about being consistent. It's about waking up tomorrow and not having to make excuses for what you didn't do today. That's power. That's clarity. That's freedom. So tonight, when the day winds down, ask yourself, did I give real effort? Did I show up the way I said I would? Did I move forward, even if it was small? Was it honest? If the answer is yes, rest easy. You've earned it. But if the answer is no, don't beat yourself up. Just don't let it happen again. Start tomorrow with a new standard, a higher one, and hold to it, because your best days are not behind you. They're ahead, but only if you start treating today like it matters. And that starts with how you close it. Make it count. Every time, every day, without exception, without delay. That's how you get better. One real effort at a time.